The Seattle Seahawks fired Ryan Grubb. Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Sports Show where we love Seattle Pro Sports. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we are here to talk about the firing of Ryan Grubb. Just a few short hours after I recorded my last episode in saying, I wish that the Seahawks would not fire Ryan Grubb, they went ahead and fired Ryan Grubb. Now, my reasoning for not wanting Ryan Grubb fired was, I like the creativity that he had in the passing game. I'm not sure that he could not be balanced in the play calling when it comes to running and passing. I thought a lot of that was on the talent of that offensive line. But, I don't know what Ryan Grubb's mindset is. I'm not there in the room talking with him on a day-to-day basis like Mike McDonald is. And from what we gathered from Mike McDonald, that's just not the philosophy. That was not going to be the mindset. It seems like, that was, wanting to pass the ball was the way to go. We heard from Ryan Grubb himself during one of the recent press conferences where he said that one of the biggest things he learned this year from Mike McDonald is at the NFL level, you have to attack defenses and not specific players because, in the NFL, everybody's really good. So you can't just say, oh, well, my talent is so much greater than the other team's talent that I'm just going to attack this player and we'll be good. You can do that at the college level. You can't do that at the NFL level. And maybe that was just taking Ryan Grubb too long to learn and to adjust to. That I'm sure factored into it. And again, just from what I've gathered in hearing Mike McDonald talk now a couple of times since the firing, it does seem like they weren't feeling like Ryan Grubb was going to be able to have the mindset to call a more balanced game and have creativity in that run game because as creative as he is in coming up with a passing game, even in the games where we were successful running the ball, you can see there's not a lot of creativity or surprise there, right? So maybe that could be one of the issues they were seeing as well, because we all saw how well Zach Charbonnet and even Kenny McIntosh did in the last couple of games of the season, right? Compared to K9, who had a very down year. A lot of that due to injury, but he did have a very down year. But he is somebody who could benefit from more creativity in the running scheme. Because he's not somebody like a Zach Charbonnet and a Kenny McIntosh that are just like, boom, they got the vision to go hit that hole and then see where the defenders are at the next level to try to make them miss or to run through them. That's not K9's game, right? So you need a little bit more creativity in there. Can they get somebody who's more creative in the run game? And get a playmaker like that, get him the ball and get him the ball in space and make that happen. We heard Mike McDonald talk at the postseason press conference saying that's what he's looking for. He's looking for a play caller who will not just about the running game, but get the ball to the best playmakers in space. Make that happen so that your best playmakers are getting the ball fast and in space and have something to do with it afterwards. As as creative as this offense was for Ryan Grubb, you could see that maybe again because he was too focused on trying to attack talent and not scheme. You would see a lot of the catches in the past game. They were very contested. You're not seeing besides JSN, who is just a separation monster, right? Other than that, you're not seeing everybody else schemed in a way where when they get open, they have separation to make something happen. Like you want DK, you want him to have some separation, or get him in a spot. You want to direct him into a spot against the opposing defense where he's going to catch that ball in space and has something to do with it afterwards. That way, you could take advantage of the size, speed, and power that somebody like a DK has. So yeah, I'm thinking it's just going to have to be, our next offensive coordinator is just going to have to be more creative in the run game, and have experience or have the mindset of knowing what happens at the NFL level, where you are again attacking an opposing team's scheme and not looking at individual matchups. So yeah, Ryan Grubb is out again, which I am disappointed in. I would have liked to see if he could have adjusted to the game, because I do think he's a great football mind. I think he does he has a capability and ability to call a really good offense. I would have liked to see what he could do with a better offensive line and more confidence in those things. But again, I don't know his mindset. Mike McDonald would know that better, and maybe that mindset just wasn't there to make that kind of thing happen. Now, again, sorry to see him go. I mean, from everything we've heard over the last month, I think he's going to land on his feet just fine. I think they're going to want him back at Alabama, where he's going to have plenty of options out there. I mean, again, I don't think he did a bad job. We obviously still got to 10 wins. I just think it just wasn't the right fit and the right mindset. Again, because if you look at our numbers, we scored 22.1 points per game. That was 18th in the league. Again, in my eyes, when I look at all the skill position players that we had, we should be looking somewhere in the top 10. I mean, because let me read some of these team names off for you. And this is before we get to the top 10. This is number 17 through 11. The Colts, the Steelers, the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Falcons, the Cardinals, the Chargers. And again, we're not looking at offensive line. We're not looking at the quarterbacks of these teams, just the skilled players alone. Which of these teams ahead of you are you taking the skilled players of over your Seattle Seahawks? Any of them? And I'm not taking just one or two. I'm talking about if you swapped groups, like if you swapped Seattle's skill position group with the Colts skill position group. Is that something you'd want to do? No, not even close. Right? So that's just the teams that didn't make the top 10. And then teams that are in the top 10, points per game wise, the Broncos, the Vikings, the Packers, the Eagles, the Bengals, the Commanders, the Buccaneers, the Ravens, the Bills, the Lions. you should be with your skill group. You should be somewhere right up in that group. I'm looking at, we got 22 points a game. I'm thinking we needed to get somewhere around 27 to 28 points a game, which would put you right in, that 7, 6, or 5 range. You should be somewhere up there. You should be in the top 10 based on the skill players he have. So even with as creative as he was in the past game, again, there just wasn't enough balance there. The run game wasn't creative enough to get you some more points. And then, you know, I have a friend who is very worried because we have a defensive coach that the next coordinator we're going to get is going to be some like run heavy offensive coordinator that is, predictable, and that it's going to be too predictable, and that's going to be a problem. Well, and I've heard that from quite a few people online, and I just find that funny because that's one of the reasons why Ryan Grubb is being fired, right? Is because it was too predictable. Not in the run game, but the pass game was too predictable. We hardly lined up with Geno Smith under center. We hardly ran play action. And the previous 2 years, Geno Smith was in the top 3 efficiency percentage when under center and when running plays from play action, and we hardly did that this year. So when you kind of take that into account of the skills of your quarterback and what they've shown they've been able to do in the past, he didn't really take advantage of that. And again, we were towards the bottom of the league in rushing attempts per game. Yeah, 29th in rush attempts per game. So, everybody knows that you're gonna pass it a majority of the time. So it was predictable. It's not predictable in the run game, of running it every down, but you're still predictable in the types of play you're calling. And as everybody said, it was very predictable in one of the recent games. Was it the Chicago Bears game where we just ran it down the field? We get into like a 3rd and goal situation, and then we run empty, right? Very predictable. Obviously, you don't even have the threat to run. So everybody knows that you're passing the ball. There's a chance that Geno could scramble and then try to attempt to run, but without a running back there, everybody's playing the pass because you're not. I think it was from the 6-yard line too, right? You're not going to quarterback sneak or quarterback draw from 6 yards out with Geno. So very, very predictable play called. No threat of even handing it off or having the running back to dump it down to in a screen. Just you got everybody lined out wide. So I don't think that we're gonna have to worry about like, oh well, the next play caller is gonna be too predictable. I don't think Mike McDonald just going to go after somebody that calls a run play 75% of the time, and it's the same run play every time. No, I think he's looking for creativity in the run game and in the pass game. Again, I take it to heart, and it seems very important to him that the playmakers are getting the ball in space. And the other thing he said was that he wants the quarterback to get the ball out of their hands quickly. So he's not looking for somebody who's just, like a Shane Waldron, who we just recently had, who's just like sending everybody on streaks down the field. And there's, it's predictable the routes that are going to run because the routes are the same every time. I think he's looking for somebody who's going to have creativity in there to get playmakers and multiple playmakers in space throughout the game. So it's not just one playmaker. You're getting all the playmakers you have, multiple chances throughout a game to get the ball in space and then make something happen. Whether that's DK, JSN, K9, Charbonnet, everybody getting chances with the ball in space to make something happen. Now, who are those coordinators out there? There's a lot of potential ones out there, so I'm not going to go through and name everybody or try to even predict who they go with. There's some names out there that seem like they would be a fit, or team, or names that seem like they would be interested in what we've seen from John Schneider in the past. One name that makes sense right now is Jake Peets. Everybody's talking about that because in recent press conferences, multiple of them, again, before even the firing of Ryan Grubb, Mike Macdonald has mentioned Jake Peets multiple times and given him credit for things happening offensively multiple times. And Jake Peets, he's already on your staff as the passing game coordinator. He, has been with the Rams, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Commanders, and the Jaguars in the past. He has coached under Nick Saban, Jack Del Rio, and Sean McVay. So, yeah, even though he's a passing game coordinator right now for the Seahawks, he's learned under some of the best and most creative coaches when it comes to the run game and aggressively called run games. Right? So, again, that was another thing Mike Macdonald said he was looking for. He's looking for somebody who can be aggressive. They want somebody who dictates the terms. Okay, so again, a lot of this, the blocking that we had in these run games was very straightforward. Can we be more creative and aggressive with what we are doing with our offensive line to create that space for our running backs with our next coordinator? Maybe Jake Peets is somebody who can do that. He does not have the experience calling at the NFL level as an offensive coordinator, so we don't know if he would be able to do that. But again, Mike Macdonald, again, just the same way that they were looking at it last year. He said it's not going to be a requirement that the next offensive coordinator has any play calling experience at the NFL level. Because they are going to search and they are going to just try to make sure that they are getting, the person who fits best with what they're trying to do or what their vision is. All right, so somebody like a Jake Peets is an option and already on your staff. Some other names that I think would make sense: Frank Reich, to me, makes sense. We know what he could do as an offensive coordinator, and how good he can be with that. Has head coaching experience as well, which would be great to have on this staff because Mike Macdonald has 1 year of head coaching experience now. But the more you can get, the better, right? And I don't remember where I heard this. I want to say it was on Locked On Seahawks. It was oh gosh, what is the guy's name? I listen to so many things I can't remember everybody's name. But the guy that does Locked On Seahawks, that I'm drawing a blank on now. Sorry about that. But I believe it was on that show that I heard the last 9 out of the 10 Super Bowl winning teams had at least 2 coaches on the staff. Obviously, you would have your head coach, and then one or both of the coordinators would also have had head coaching experience in the past. So there would always be at least 2 coaches on the staff that had head coaching experience for Super Bowl winners. So that's not like a fluke. That is, that's something real to think about. That if you have a defensive coordinator, head coach, If you have somebody as the offensive coordinator who has previously had head coaching experience and can just like really take over that side of the game for you, that would be a big bonus. Again, Frank Reich is somebody like that. And, did it end well in his last, job at Carolina? No, it did not. But they drafted the wrong quarterback. They had their owner selecting the players for them. Players, that they said that they would not have picked if it weren't for the owner, interfering. So, I don't think you gotta. I don't think you can knock Frank Reich for his last job. You just look at what he can do with the offense. You know, again, look at what he did with the Colts. You know, having top 10 scoring offenses. You know, think about what he did when he was, with Philly and the run game when he was there. That's somebody to think about. Brian Schottenheimer. I've heard everybody mentioning this one before as well. He did very well the last time he was here. I don't know if he'd want to come back though. I know Pete Carroll isn't here anymore, but John Schneider is still here. So I don't know what their relationship is. I mean, if it was, there was philosophical differences at the time, right? And is that something that changed? So would he even want to come back? But he's somebody that could be an option, and I think does have a really great mind for calling the game. Who else is somebody? Here's a name that really interests me. Again, another young guy, somebody who would not have experience as the offensive coordinator, but I've heard this name brought up in multiple places, and Clint Kubiak is, I think that is a name to look out for. Again, another young guy, 37 years old, so same age as Mike McDonald, but again, another person that's been coaching his entire life. This is the son of Clint Kubiak, so he's been learning, and he's gone through the ringer. He's gone through the paces, right? He's coached under the likes of Shanahan, and again, learned from his own father. So this is this is somebody I'm looking at. You look what he did with the, again, passing coordinator with the 49ers. You look what he did with the Vikings. You look what he's done with the Saints. And again, look at the Saints with the way this season they had so many injuries to quarterbacks, receivers, running back Alvin Kamara, and still, let me go back and look here. They still. Let me find it. Yeah, they were still, respectable for considering all of that. They still finished with more rushing attempts than you per game. You look at their players. A lot of that is designed around getting players like Alvin Kamara the ball in space. So I think he can do that. And then let's see here. I was just trying to pull up some more stats, and now I lost it. So, but yeah, Kubiak would be another name that I am very interested in. And that's just a few names. I don't want to make this too long. Like I said, there's like 20 names out there that we could look at, and those are just some. I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought of this firing. Do you think it was the right call? Who do you want them to hire next? Let me know. All right. Yeah, this is going to be the end of this one. Over the coming days and weeks, as we get more news about who the Seahawks are putting in bids to have interviews with, we'll be talking about this even more. All right. So thanks for listening to the Seattle Sports Show, where we watch legends awaken. So take cover, because with the Sea of Sound, you will see us rise to reign supreme and win forever.